let me tell you something. I respect Jay and Bay, but Jay.
That's not it.
We've been
not it.
That's what I mean. It's
but,
like Beyonce,
and
like people love her so
their
strong, but like people
are
are like,
beautiful.
it makes you are on fucking thin ice. Jay-Z took the fucking lottery. Like,
oh yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like you ain't shit, and like don't think we have forgotten just because we love your wife.
Well, I will say though,
What do you
based
mean?
off
He's
of,
the best rapper to ever live.
and let me
Number one, nobody gives a fuck about that when it comes to Beyonce. Like,
Well,
nobody is like,
say-
oh, but he's the best. It's like he cheated on her, and he's not cute enough to be doing that shit.
But let me just say, because
Yo,
based
that
off
elevator video
Bay,
was fucking fire.
And he deserved
Beyonce's
it.
music speaks for itself. She talk about that like it's nobody's business.
Yeah, but 444 was also like incredibly telling.
No,
On
no,
his
yeah,
part,
but like almost
his part of it.
Of the remorse, hey, guess what? If you don't want to feel remorse, don't cheat on your fucking wife, and then you won't have to make a whole album about it.
Was it like a legit cheating, or I thought it was just like he like
legit cheating.
I thought it was like he flirted with some girl at a party or something.
What are you talking? You make
Well, no,
up
I'm
these
talking
stories
about,
in your
like-
head.
I
might just be
It's,
pulling it out of my
insane.
I'm talking about the fact that like all of Beyonce's music talks about how much love and that man be giving on her, and how like physical love he giving to her.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Hey, but you don't know what it like. They might have like a great
no.
actual
What I'm
relationship.
saying is all like Jay got something that Bay wants, and Jay
Right.
and that she appreciates out of him,
no.
and it's probably something that tells to her love language.
100%.
So like you
Yeah.
know, he may look and do whatever it may be, but if Bay want it,
in terms of
that's it.
Jay and Bay, the weirdest thing at first, whenever they started,
Just like
was
the fact that y'all are calling them J and Bay. Like, it took me so long to figure out who the fuck y'all were talking about. I was like, what?
the very first thing that I thought whenever they started was the age difference, because he's a lot older than her. But at the same time, I was like, well, I don't know, that's like a power move too. Like if you're Beyonce or if you're Jay-Z, like, and you're trying to find somebody, you're trying to relate to somebody, like somebody at that caliber, at that level of fame, at that level of like, you know, professionalism in the
Baby, that is just
music.
grooming.
Huh?
I said that is just grooming. Again, Beyonce is another one that you're just like, you write for. You know what I mean? It's like you cannot say shit about them. And she's just so smart and so strong and so beautiful. But like, I understand why there's like, I guess, more nuance when it comes to stuff like those age differences in like the industry. But I feel like that's just like another fucking excuse for older men to like groom younger girls. You know what I mean?
When they started dating, she was like 28. So like it wasn't like she was like super young.
I mean, sure, but still, like there's a big difference.
I think he was like
between,
40 something, and she was like.
That's what I'm saying. It's like.
Yeah. But she's 28. That's a grown woman.
She's an
though.
adult.
That's
I get that.
You know what I mean? Like I'm sure you could groom a 28-year-old,
They
but
got married at 27. She was 27.
oh, okay.
So
there it
that
is.
means that their relationship
Started before then. Oh, okay, cool.
I
Okay,
also
well,
think, I mean, grooming is something that happens regardless of age. Sometimes it's more about
I guess
mindset.
so,
So
yeah.
like, yeah, and yes, it is definitely a possibility
Well,
because of age. Like often.
I feel like grooming is specifically about like different age, like an age difference in relationships, because otherwise
Can't
isn't that just like
grooming also-
manipulation?
I thought grooming was more about emotional maturity.
No,
Because
again, you're making shit.
No, I'm saying that's how I interpret it, because if you could be a very mature, emotionally mature 23-year-old, and like you could be a very like emotionally immature 30-year-old, and it won't matter.
Let's see. It says grooming is when someone builds a relationship, trust, and emotional connection with a child or young person. So
Exactly.
so they can manipulate.
Like,
But so
if
she wasn't a child.
anything,
So
this
you're right.
idea that like, oh, there are 23-year-olds that are so emotionally and like mentally like way more mature than any 23-year-old. It's just literally like what's it called? What's the word I'm looking for? It's just like just a grooming practice too. Like that's some shit.
Yeah, but
that
you can't groom a
people who are
23-year-old. That's
grooming-
not a child. That
I mean,
per the definition, you can't groom a 23-year-old.
right.
You can emotionally manipulate them, but you can't groom them.
Yeah, but I think people have started to like use that for like for people that are like in their 20s, for example, because I'm like, I understand that like legally, if you're like above 18, like you're a child, but if you're 21 years old and another person is like 38, they're grooming you, baby. Like you might not be a child, but that's exactly what they're doing because they're preying on your immaturity.
Right.
You
But
know what I
again,
mean? Like they're preying on that age
That's why I'm saying
difference.
like emotional maturity. That's why I bring that up, because again, at least in that specific stance, I've known people that were younger than other people, and they completely dominate that entire relationship. And there's no way around it. They dominate it. They get everything that they possibly want out of that relationship like this. And it's because they're more emotionally mature.
I mean,
they can control their emotions a lot better. They can also use certain things to their advantage. Like they fucking run that shit. Which all the power to them. I'm just saying, like, you know, I
feel like that's a possibility. Like somebody that's younger can do that. I feel like it's a little bit trickier to like claim that if there's like such a big like age difference. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, going back to Jay-Z, Beyonce, A$AP Rocky, Rihanna, like I am happy for Rih.
I'm so happy.
I think it's gonna be great, but I am not happy that this means no more Rihanna music.
I don't want to think about that.
That's exactly what that means.
She said that?
Well, no, she said a year ago that she was working on the album. She said that and Auntie is like a fucking classic.
Like,
so
she's been working on that damn album for like 4 fucking years.
Like, well, that's the thing.
Beyonce did.
And then she's gonna go on tour while she's with a newborn.
Well, she probably won't go on tour.
She
but you don't think that
there's a lot of people that
still?
put out albums without going on tour, though.
But I want her to go on tour.
Well, yeah, we all want a lot from her, Jimenez. But like, if all we get is a fucking album, then all we get is a fucking album, and we're gonna be grateful.
I hope we get an album because I've been waiting on that shit for years.
And a baby, because that baby's gonna be.
Because also, like, she's been working on the album. This is just my optimism, and I know I'm about to sound dumb as hell because I know she's not gonna be fucking releasing music, but she has been working on the album for a really long time. So there is a chance that the album is kind of done and that it won't really like, you know, like seep into like her pregnancy.
Yeah, that's the thing. Some people were saying that they were really hoping that her being pregnant would get her to like, I want to finish this up so that I don't have to worry about this.
I don't think that's what's going to happen. You know? I don't think that
I want a Rihanna album so bad.
If she does it, it's going to be like, oh, well, the album is basically done. You know what I mean? And like, it doesn't require, it's not demanding as much from her.
Maybe.
I don't think she's going to do it to be like, they're waiting for the album. And now she doesn't give a fuck.
She's a billionaire now. She
don't give a fuck.
And she's not on a recording contract. So she's not with Def Jam or whoever it is that Atlantic or whatever whoever the hell she was with. So she's not on that contract anymore. From what I remember, so she can drop it whenever. But I just fucking give me a fucking because man. I also don't know how you can top Love on the Brain. Like and you know what I mean? Like that shit came out of nowhere.
I have such vivid memories of like the minute that Auntie like came out. Auntie? Is that what you say?
Yeah, that's Auntie. Yeah.
Okay.
Or I
always had read it in my head differently. I don't think I've ever said it out loud, and then that just felt wrong. Anyway, I have such vivid memories of like when that album came out, and like just oh my god, just like riding in my friend's car, listening to that shit over like the winter time. Oh, like
yeah, I thought Love on the Brain fucking floored me because
insane.
Because the second verse and when you go like do you know who Norah Jones is?
No.
Okay. Go listen to Norah Jones. She's phenomenal. She's a jazz singer. Okay, the second verse of Love on the Brain, I could have sworn the first time that I heard it, I was like, is this Norah Jones? And I'm like, yo, a Rihanna Norah Jones collaboration right now is fucking making my entire life.
She can do it all.
But it wasn't Norah Jones.
It wasn't.
It was fucking Rihanna. And it was Rihanna with changing her voice and like singing in that way. Good. And I was like, she sounds identical to Norah Jones. And I was all like, that fucking level of like, it's like when Michael Jackson got like super high pitch on Butterfly. Like, oh my God, like it fucking floored me. And so then I heard the album, Work is on there, Needed Me is on there. Like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, and I know that album's not targeted to me, but I fucking bumped it. I don't give a fuck. Like that shit was fucking raw. It was good.
It was just so fucking good. That album is like, there's like always music that I've always listened to, and so I don't necessarily like remember like, you know, the impact of or whatever, just like music that I grew up with. But like that is one of the albums that I'm like, I remember when the fucking album dropped. I remember like all the times that I listened to it. Like I remember all the memories that like I remember like that album has like an era in and of its own. Like, in my life. 100%.